sack for the Gamecocks, J.J. Inigbari.
Wants it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
And now it's time for some Gamecock football.
To the 25, 20, 15, 10. Rogers scores! Dindy, and Dindy spins into the open, and he's on his way. It's a tie-ball game if they can get the extra point. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown goal. His second of the day.
There's never been more excitement about South Carolina football than there is right now.
I've heard all the stories of the great George Rogers. Now back in 1980, he made the whole nation holler. And I've seen that photograph of young Steve Tannehill up in old Death Valley, signing his name on the field. Yeah, and I love the year 2001 if it Williams, Bryce, Raw. Oh, what else can I say? I'm just a big old car.
Episode of the show Inside the Gamecocks. By the way, I'm JC Sherbert. He's Phil Mullinax. We have Michael Flint coming up at noon. It's the day before game, so obviously we play that little intro on Fridays, and it kind of fires me up a little bit, Phil.
Oh yeah. It's time to get right, bounce back. Always be excited for football Saturdays.
I had another horrible night of picks. I went with Georgia State and Virginia Tech, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, those were ugly. I went with the home dogs, right? Home dog on a Thursday night, Blacksburg and Atlanta. And, oh man, I think I don't know. So sometimes people, I guess, bet with their hearts and they lose, and maybe I bet with my heart because I like Georgia State and Virginia Tech. But man, I didn't see that coming. I haven't seen a lot coming. I'm just going to shut up. If you're out there and you've heard me make picks on JC and Morgan, or you make picks here, don't listen to me, please.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I'm in a rut. I mean, this has been a bad year.
Yeah, we're going to bounce back, though. You got to bounce back.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I mean, I'm in a rut. Carolina's offense is in a perpetual rut. Yeah. The Gamecocks are 1-2. The only team winning is our ninth grade team.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and he's finally starting again, so that's happy. But I'm shrouded in mediocrity right now, Phil.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can't even hold on to my Commanders because they lost to the Lions this past week.
Man, the only good thing that's happened is the Manscaped package came a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
That was like a small victory for me. I'm like, oh man, sad. Well, anyway, we hope you're all doing well today. South Carolina Charlotte kicks off tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, ESPNU. Home night game. Some recruits in town. Not as big of a list as last week, obviously, but pretty good list. You can read that on thebigspur.com. Isaiah Jada, who's the JUCO that's committed to the Gamecocks from Snow Junior College in Utah. I've said this before, but it's kind of a neat little thing. He actually went to high school where Reggie Bush went to high school at Halifax in San Diego. So San Diego, California native. Like, wow, man. So, he's coming to town. And Marquis Anderson, who's one of the Gamecocks' top high school offensive line recruits, coming in for another unofficial with his family. And then a lot of underclassmen and some folks like that. All right. Nana Sports chat box is going to come in and say a quick good morning. And then we got to clear out the mailbag. This is like we got to stay on top of it better. And we'll do that. That's on me because I start running my mouth and interacting and things like that. And I don't always bounce over to the email. So that's on me. We're going to stay on top of it better and all that, the iHelp Consulting mailbag. So we're going to say hello to our chat boxers today and then bounce over there, clear those questions out, and answer your questions and all that from the chat box. Completely interactive. No poll today. By the way, I looked at the results of the poll, Phil, yesterday, and it was over or under 40 points, 39.5, right?
Yeah.
For the Gamecocks. In other words, what will Charlotte snap its streak of holding of allowing more than 40 points in the game? That streak's 7 games long right now. Okay. Right. So Georgia State almost didn't get there against them last week, but
most people don't want to be that team,
most people have a little faith in the Gamecocks. It was like 70-30. Gamecocks will get over 40 points. Of course, it's not all on offense, Last year, South Carolina certainly had a lot of defensive scores. This year, there's special team scores from the first game, a couple of them. So we'll see sort of what happens. All right. The beautiful Pacific Northwest on the shore, John Thompson. He's like, absolutely, positively got to get right tomorrow. Huge game. It shouldn't be a huge game, but it is. Absolutely, John. Absolutely. I mean, we love our people out there in the Pacific Northwest that tune in each and every day. Jan, good Friday to my skint heads. Yeah, anybody that knows Jan, he's got a similar hairdo to me and Phil right now. Rodney's like, let's go. Good morning, Rodney. Mm-hmm. Craig's like, what's happening? Fist bump with Jan in solidarity about having no hair. And then Jan gets impatient here and goes, well, we're waiting.
We're waiting? Sit down, Danny.
Oh, Jan. Clint's happy Friday. Jared says aloha. Aloha, Jared. John laughed at Jan Bennett. Judge Smales in the house. Funny back and forth there. And Bryce makes a good point here. Okay, so Bryce says we're back in the preseason. Season doesn't start for another 2 weeks when we play in Lexington. Yep. These are a reset. Yep. You want to consider these preseason games. That's like, yeah, that's good. Xavier goes listening from Wenatchee, Washington. Missed the show yesterday. Glad to have it back. Thanks, Xavier. Xavier's a big fan. Always, says a lot of nice things to us and always interacts. We appreciate you. He and John are, and then we have. I think we have one more from the Pacific Northwest.
I think
too.
There is a third out
there. There is a third out there. Mm-hmm. Sonder goes, if our offense doesn't look like it's taking out pin-up aggression on these guys, I'll be breaking out the liquor. That's dangerous.
Might break that out anyway, just to make sure I'm ready.
I don't know how my picks go tomorrow. Hell, I don't know, man. Daddy says he's in the Clean Head Club too.
The Clean Head Club.
Yeah. Craig has a prediction. He says Marshawn will go for 115, Rattler 320-ish, 43-20. Sounds pretty feasible.
Yeah. I'm almost at the point to think the offense is going to do well in spite of everything. Just going to will it.
Well, they talked about it. Talked about it all week.
Yeah.
Jan says he's ready for Bourbon in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So am I, Jan. I'm going to that game and meeting up with Jan, by the way.
Nice.
We're doing the Bourbon tour and going to go horse race watching and with another folks and my fiance and all that. So we're going to have a good time. So there will be an alternative show arrangement at the end, Thursday and Friday of Kentucky week, by the way.
Yep.
We'll have something. I just don't know what it'll be yet. Nathan, welcome in, Nathan, his first live appearance in the Nana Sports chat box.
Yes, sir.
Quantrell says, do you think there's any chance if Beamer can run up the score, will he do it as a confidence builder? Got to get the vibes right. I mean, I'd keep attacking. I would play everybody, but I kind of like the whole Steve Spurrier philosophy of, I guess, seems like I say that a lot these days, right? Of, we're going to put our reserves in, but we're still going to run our offense. It's up to you to stop it.
Yeah.
We're not going to play our starters, but we're just going to keep running our offense. Daddy-O says weather has just turned the liquor from white to brown.
Yeah. I don't quit the brown stuff. I don't do the clear anymore.
I gave very rarely. I'll have maybe a shot or something.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely. Now, we'll have a Bloody Mary. Like, if I have to get drugged of what's called, it's kind of an evil demon, dressed up like something girls like to do. It's called Sunday brunch.
Sunday brunch.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that out there, that'll get you in trouble. Like that, it's like, this is something, girls like to do. So I should go do this, It really deep in your heart, you're like, hell, breakfast food and liquor. And I'm hungover after Saturday. I'm there, dude. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. But it can get you because, like, okay, so you go to brunch on 10, let's say 10:30ish, and you're there at Sunday brunch. The omelet man's makes you a delicious omelet. You're about 3 Bloody Marys in, and you don't drink liquor, and you're like, let's go somewhere. Let's go to the bar now. Next thing you know, the 4 o'clock, if it's football season, the 4 o'clock NFL games are coming on. You're thinking about having to get up the next day, and it all started with this frou brunch that you got, that you didn't want to go, you didn't want to go to anyway. It's a demon from hell sometimes. Brunch.
I usually go for the mimosa option at brunch to try to avoid the liquor.
Yeah. But I like tomato juice and all that. But all right. So we've been asked to make some picks too by Colin, and I got a little cheerleader behind me with a sign bouncing up and down in my house that says "I love brunch." She made a sign and brought it in here. I love brunch. Anyway, Daddy O goes, "It tastes like spring water today." Yeah, that's a Ron White. He's on those Dr. Phil, and he's like, Doc, sometimes it tastes like spring water. And then Dr. Phil goes, "Why don't you just drink spring water, Ron?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor." That's a funny one. All right. I can't get off on the Ron White here. So yes, Colin. Clemson and Wake Forest, Phil. I think Clemson wins.
I'm going Clemson too. Yeah,
just because they've owned Wake Forest. Look, I'm not saying Clemson's played particularly well this year. They haven't really played particularly anybody. Right. So this is by far a big surprise there, right? By far probably the best team they've played, but they'll get up for that. And like I said, Dabo's never lost to Wake Forest. I think every coach before him did. I think Tommy West lost. Ken Hatfield lost to Wake once. I know Danny Ford maybe Danny didn't lose to him. Who was after? Tommy Bowden certainly lost to Wake Forest quite a few times.
They hated that, yeah.
They got him fired, but Dabo's not lost to Wake.
No, I don't see him losing tomorrow. Just their defense is too stout. I mean, Wake's not going to be able to move the ball like they have been.
And Kansas Duke.
Kansas.
I like Kansas too. In this basketball, the basketball showdown. Duke's undefeated. Nice win at Northwestern. I do think that Mike Elko's off to a nice start there. But the Jayhawks. I mean, you look at who they played and who they beaten. West Virginia had a pretty big win last night. Kansas beat them. Houston was in the top 25 at the beginning. Kansas beat them, and they beat some other team to start. I think they've got a stronger resume. Since we're talking about basketball schools, we'll talk about their resume. And they should beat Duke and move forward.
A good quad 3 win.
I don't know about you, Phil. Tennessee and Florida.
I'm going Tennessee on that one again.
I'm thinking this. 25 out of the last 32 years, Florida has beaten Tennessee. They've owned them. When Tennessee's been good, when they've not been so good, when Florida's been bad, they still have that one win over Tennessee, right?
Right.
It's a clean 2. I think there's going to be a comeuppance this Saturday in Knoxville.
Oh, nice.
I think Tennessee's caught Florida right now. We're in the first year of a coaching staff where they've got to fine-tune some things in their passing game. They've got athletes, they've got talent, they always do. They're always one of the faster teams in the league.
Yeah.
But it's going to take them some time, Billy Napier some time. And I think given the challenge that Tennessee presents with their offense, given that it's in Knoxville, game day is going to be there, they're ready to – this just seems like the time that Tennessee's going to wallop them.
Yeah, Florida's not designed to come back this year, and I think they're going to be put in that position early Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah, afternoon, I think. Was it a noon game or 3:30 kickoff?
Yeah. 3:30. CBS.
Yeah,
CBS. Brad Nessler.
Nice.
Gary Daniels. Game day in Knoxville. Spurrier is the guest picker.
Is he really? Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to get up there and pick against the Gators. I mean, I'm like, I know he's from Tennessee, so he's a good guy to have. But I mean, man, he's gonna.
Yeah, I don't think he'll pick against Florida, but you never know. I mean, if anybody's going to shoot it straight,
shoot, I just don't think we're very good.
Well,
Tennessee
quarterback ain't much this year.
Quarterback ain't much this year. So certainly, we don't have a very good,
The Jerry Golden Bowl. What I'm going to Arkansas, and what was that? Arkansas A&M this week.
Yeah. Now there's always the chance Max Johnson, who's A&M's quarterback, could just go off because that's the one weakness of Arkansas is their pass D, dead last in the country in pass defense. I think, I was thinking they're a top 5 team maybe after they played Carolina. After kind of watching just how bad their secondary is, and it is sad that I had to watch Missouri State to really come to that conclusion. But it's I think that's the one way A&M can win. But what evidence is A&M? There's no evidence that they're even halfway decent on offense.
No,
right now, and so we'll see what happens. But I'm going Arkansas as well with that. So Colin, that's a good one here. And we'll get in on all these other things for the Nana Sports chat box. But ding, 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 ding. It's time for the IHelp Consulting mailbag.
All right.
What I'd like is maybe have like a Mr. McFeely graphic when we go to the mailbag.
Oh, right. Speedy delivery.
Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's one here on Twitter. And we're gonna go with this one because it's from Gamecock Pastor, and we missed his deal there. By the way, predictions in lieu of a poll. Give your score prediction and where you're coming from. Xavier has already gotten on Twitter and done it. 48-21 Carolina from, of course, Wenatchee, Washington. So there you go. Thanks, Xavier. Gamecock Pastors has been a little absent and taking some personal time this week. Don't blame you. Going with 31-17 Gamecocks. Ooh. Got to just get out with the dub and take this week to the next and get healthy. Use these 2 games to find an identity and get Spencer rolling. So I don't. And Gamecock Pastor, of course, is from the upstate of South Carolina. Phil, I don't know that people are going to be happy with a 31-17 win over this team.
There will still be much angst and consternation if that's the final score.
Much angst and consternation.
But you know what? I mean, still well within the realm of outcomes, which is sad, but
yeah,
not going to make people happy.
No doubt. All right, so that's the mailbag off Twitter. There's 2 ways to get in the mailbag. And one is to tweet to @TheBigSpurPod on Twitter. The other way is to InsideTheGameCocks@gmail.com. There are some that are pretty old. Phil's going to read one. We're going to kind of run through it. Again, we're going to do better, because we had 2 shows we missed this week. So maybe cut us a little slack on this. But we're going to start kind of cutting out time for it because and again, this is my fault because I start running my mouth and, bounce from this, that, and the other. And sometimes I forget. So the IHelp Consulting mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. Take it away, Phil.
Yeah, we'll start with Justin, who waited till 5:30 on Sunday to send his comments about the Georgia game. So he said, I waited till 5:30 to send this email because I found myself using a lot of obscenities before now in the question. Please get someone to ask what the thought process was of putting DK in on the first drive when it was 3rd and 5 or 6, and then running him. I know Muschamp knows DK very well, and I have to imagine he was licking his chops when he saw him come in to help clear. I absolutely love DK. Same, we all do, and we know he went out and did what he was asked to do. Yep, we know, and this we've all kind of just scratched our head over that one. Justin, it was not. No tendencies were broken, and like I said earlier, I think it was Monday. There were 80,000 people in the stands and 1 million people watching on TV that knew exactly what was about to happen right there.
Mm-hmm. Tendencies. Yep. And they did ask, and Satterfield's explanation, I'll let that stand for itself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not going to sit there and dissect his explanation because, did I buy it? I don't know. But, because then it starts it's like I'm arguing, and you're just going back, so I'll let what he said about it stand for itself. Yeah. Everybody just moves forward and hope you don't see it again. Right. But I said that last year after they ran it a bunch. So, I bet we will.
At least we didn't have any defensive linemen throwing any passes this week.
Man.
I'm saving that for this week.
Wow. Oh, man. All right. So,
Twitter and the message boards will explode if that happens.
No doubt. Chavis says Shane knows Satterfield has no future at South Carolina. Why let him coach through 2 cupcakes and use that to defend him by winning those 2? The next 2 weeks should be about Kentucky with a new play caller, practicing against lower competition. Wait and score 3 against Kentucky. What does that accomplish? Give our guys a fighting chance. That's not how coaches look at it. I mean, if and look, I get where you're coming from. I mean, there's logic to that, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to change horses midstream, you got 2 games to kind of get by, and then an SEC game that an open date before the rest of the season. But if Nick Saban ever heard you say that, have you ever heard Nick Saban rant about reporters that are like, "Hey, you're going to play the backups this week against, the Citadel or whoever"? I'm not the Citadel because they had him down at halftime a couple of years ago. Louisiana. Well, how do you know they're going to get a play? We respect all teams. He goes off. Oh, yeah. You take it 1 game at a time. You try to play your best game every single time out and all that. Rather than kind of trying to play that. Because, you play those games with the opponents, you can get beat. I mean, you go out there, Charlotte's good enough on offense, and Carolina's got enough on defense. And let's just say this. Let's say, because if you change play callers, right, it doesn't automatically fix everything. It'll take a game or 2 at least, because, look, the kids aren't used to they're used to running what they've been working on all year, right? Right. So you change, and there's a new voice and a new style. I mean, you could go out there and have, a game, what I call a game of adjustment, right? Mm-hmm. To where maybe you don't only put 14 points on the board against Charlotte, and then, if you're looking up there and they have 24, you've lost. You don't want to do that, I see it a lot. I just know coaches don't really, they kind of take it a game at a time. And, when I've seen things happen, like that, it's usually been during like an open date. Yeah. And there's one of those after Kentucky and before Texas A&M. But, I'm not saying that, I'm not coming down on you, man. All right, next question.
Let's see. I think what we got, Xavier checking in. Let's see. So some post-game thoughts. Juju should be running back 1. He always moves the ball well when he has it. 2, Gamecock pastor seems to be correct when he says that Rattler has elite talent, but not elite eyes. 3, change the offensive system. We never play a short passing game with guys like Stogner and Bell at tight end. Throw some more slant routes, cut routes, speed the game up, play to our strengths. 4, I'm not out on Rattler yet. However, do you think Doty is a little more suited in the system we're trying to run? Love to hear your thoughts, guys. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the last one first. I think Doty's at an advantage in that he's been in the system for 2 years. Watching it, I don't know if he'd be any better at it. Spencer needs to settle down. Yeah, I'm just trying to find a rhythm. I think number 3 plays to that, though. It was like you got to get the ball out of his hands quicker and draw up plays that don't take 4 seconds to develop. That might help.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
We just, it's get right. I mean, I've been on it. It's the get right games. I think, there's 2 schools of thought to it. It was like, yeah, you're giving Satterfield an opportunity to kind of save his job, even though it's easy competition. But it's more about the team, and building that confidence in the team. They have to be able to build some confidence over the next couple of weeks, regardless of who's calling plays or who the offensive coordinator is. Because you got a huge game coming up in Lexington 3 weeks from now, and you can't drop it if you want to move on and have a great season.
Agreed with those points, Phil. And yeah, I'm not ready to put Doty in yet. With Rattler. I can say that and not want to make some hasty change without, with giving Doty credit for improving, number 1, and number 2. I'm not saying Spencer Rattler's been flawless by any means. So that's the whole thing there. Phil, this is Phil that actually emails in. Not you, Phil. This other Phil. Hey, JC, been a while since I wrote in. Just wanted to say the new show platform is awesome, and I appreciate what you and Phil do. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Phil. Okay, Phil. Evening, Phil. Oh, hey, Phil. Doctor. Hey, doctor. Yeah, but nobody thought they'd get a Spies Like Us reference again today. Right? He says,
like us and Caddyshack. We're on a roll today, baby.
Ranked 100 in total offense, 113 total defense, 127 turnover margin. Yeah, it's ugly. And there's no doubt about it. That's ugly. And that's what happens when, you can't score. And you're good for about 2 touchdown drives a game. Think about it. Look, we've all watched the same movie over and over. It's disappointing. It's surprising because I thought for sure that this would not be an issue this year. That it would get fixed. It's not. He says this statistically the worst start to Carolina football. I'd have to go back. Maybe, okay, so 1992, Phil got off to – it was Carolina's first year in the SEC. They lost 28 – they had Georgia down 6-0 at halftime. Then Georgia scored 28 unanswered. Then Arkansas beat them 45-7 the next week. Both games were at Williams-Brice. That team was quarterbacked by Wright Mitchell. Tannehill took over later on. That one was probably down there, I would guess, but without looking at it. Yeah. But yeah, usually there's a get right game, or usually when you play they play a G5 team to open the season, it may be a struggle. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the worst start. He says he understands the level of competition. The numbers don't lie. Something has to give, or we're in for a historically disappointing season. I agree. I mean, if this doesn't change, I still believe in Beamer, but we're about to find out how he handles those tough head coaching decisions. It's a coaching issue. I think you have some guys that aren't playing their best, but I think also, you're right. Great coaches coach within the means of the talent they have. Example, App State beating A&M. Yeah, I mean, you don't pull upsets like App State did against A&M without being well coached. You say, thank y'all for the great podcast. So, yeah, Phil, I think Phil has a good point there. Confusing.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
So what we got? Bear. Yeah. JC, what's the break even on Beamer's positivity in press conferences versus blaming players versus sounding tone deaf? I know he's a positive guy, but it seems like he overcompensates taking up for the coaching by blaming the players for not making plays. Then today he said, and I quote, the line played really, really well. His press conference are starting to sound as concerning as every time Sack gets behind the mic. Your thoughts, Bear?
Well, Bear, I don't know that I would say really, really well. I did say that I thought it wasn't terrible. I thought the offensive line actually played its best game. I sort of like having Wanamaker out there. I think he's a good player and actually played well last season and got better this offseason. So I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a couple other tricks up their sleeves or changes they could make up front. But really, really well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I at this point, it's like I think Beamer, when he's speaking to the media in press conferences, is really just talking to the team.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring this up, but to that note, and we got to get to a break really quick. Barstool Sports has called on to the Sunshine Train with Beamer, and we're going to discuss it like rational human beings here, and all that good stuff when we get back. But Beamer's not going to change. He's going to continue to point out positives and be well, so you can't do anything about it. If you don't like it, I guess. But now Clint says 1999 was pretty bad statistically on the Nana Sports chat box. Yeah, it was offensively. It was bad. But Carolina's defense was actually pretty solid that year. I think the defense was in the top 25. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about this Barstool Sports thing when we come back and sort of they carved a little bit out of what Beamer was saying about the fourth quarter. And you know, I'll let you know kind of what the deal was there when we return. So we're going to do that, finish out the mailbag, interact on the chat box. Got another prediction in right before we go to break, Phil, right here. Rick, my man Rick, down in Jacksonville in the Sunshine State, 49-17, Gamecocks over the 49ers. That would kind of be a score I think people could live with, Rick. Yeah. 49-17, almost half 100. All right, folks, we'll be right back. After these messages, hour number 1 rolls on of the show.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit tonypope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, half-hour, hour, on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter, at MErTaylor, at MErTaylor, Taylor, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled McKellar Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
What's up? This is Jaheim Bell with the Gamecocks, and you're now listening to Inside the Gamecocks show with JC and Phil.
Thank you, Jaheim. And of course, Inside the Gamecocks show is presented by Manscaped. Don't forget, promo code BIGSPUR at manscaped.com to get you 20% off and free worldwide shipping. And of course, the first hour of the show, as always, is presented by Cindy Searfoss, Coldwell Banker Kane Realty here in the Upstate for all your residential real estate needs. Give her a call, 864-414-5271.
Yeah, go Cindy. Saw she sold another house yesterday. We share that on the Instagram account for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Be sure to follow that. All right, so yeah, it's not Barstool. It's a Kentucky fan that writes for Barstool, and that's kind of funny. But, you know, all right, so Beamer says they were 10-2 last year in the fourth quarter. Actually, they were 8-3-2 in the fourth quarter. Of those games, I mean, Auburn was 0-0, so I guess that was a tie. You know, okay, so they actually lost the fourth quarter to Florida in that big win. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I get it, the frustration and about these quotes. I don't really want to lend a whole lot to a Kentucky fan. I thought it was like regular Barstool, like some of their guys, you know, and what he wrote. But yeah, I mean, I see where he's coming from as far as you always want to remain positive. You always want to remain, you know, upbeat. You always want to encourage, you know, what victories you have. Okay. But, you know, I think the fan base is over the moral victories in the fourth quarter, and because you're down so much,
yeah,
you know, it's fine. I think internally, you know, if they want to look at it and just continue to teach and coach and be positive, that's fine. I just probably wouldn't put that out there in the media anymore.
Right.
People are just not happy.
That internal, yeah.
You know, and then, you know, you end up on Barstool Sports. So, and, you know, no, the program's not a joke. Neither is Shane Beamer. Okay. Shane is a heck of a coach. I think a good leader. I think anytime you're not winning, when you're a guy that's kind of like him, that's super positive, you know, people are gonna kind of, you know, go, that's the world we live in, Phil. You know, people don't like positive people anyway. You know, I mean, even if they're awesome, you know, I mean, you know, you look at some of the super positive coaches out there that have won, like Tabo. You know, he went from like media darling to, I mean, and there's other more sinister political reasons for this that I won't get into, but to like, you know, the minute they started not winning a national championship or playing for it every year, Dabo, blah, 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 blah. So that's it. Got a few.
Some people just get on their Twitter and message boards and take all their aggressions out on one person.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and look, that's comments. I don't know. Do I think because of what those stats are? Do I think South Carolina is as a program right now is a consistently good fourth quarter football team now?
No,
I can't say that because they haven't played enough close. I mean, there have been very few close games during the Beamer era, Phil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even some of the scores, like the Missouri game last year, was close at the end by 3. But you know, Carolina was down 17 inexcusably in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have been pretty big margins either way.
Yeah,
if you think about it. So I don't, you know, when I hear fourth quarter football team, I think, well, thrives in clutch situations and close games. Maybe maybe that'll help pointing out that positive and telling them that you're a fourth quarter football team. That's fine. I mean, that's good coaching in my opinion. But you know, when you kind of translate it to what we do and what's out there, it's probably not. Got a My man Muck Fark Stoops.
I saw that on Twitter.
Carolina 48, Charlotte 10. Checking in from Greenwood, South Carolina. A. Riddle, Carolina 38, Charlotte 21, Mars Hill, North Carolina. Thank you for your predictions. Phil, let's get back to the emailed mailbag, right?
Let's see. Yeah. The I Help Consulting mailbag. Ken drops by. Good morning, JC and Phil. Good morning. Gamecock Twitter is seemingly on fire after the loss to UGA. I'm remaining positive, but some folks are now worried about the Charlotte game coming up. My opinion is if we lose to Charlotte, then we have real problems. Would love to hear y'all's take on your current outlook of the season team. Respectfully, Ken. I don't think we're going to lose to Charlotte. I don't understand why some people think we are. I mean, bad days. I mean, it would be, moves would have to be made if that happened, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way around that.
Lose to Charlotte and get your standard 2 touchdown drives.
Yeah, no.
That's not going to cut it. I mean, even if, I don't think, I think South Carolina, like I've called it a get right game. And it's an opportunity. I think these next 2 weeks are opportunities for this program, or not this program, this team. Program is bigger than team. It's team, but this team to get things moving in the right direction before what I think is a pretty manageable, based on what I've seen so far. And again, don't listen to me on predictions, but a manageable schedule for the rest of the way. Sometimes you look at the schedule before the season, you're like, my God, there's all these good teams, blah, blah, blah. Rarely does it turn out that way. You always, I remember 2017, I thought that was a ridiculously hard schedule. But then you look up and everybody, Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas, all tanked and everybody got fired. So it wasn't. It was actually a pretty easy schedule. And the Gamecocks won 9. So, sometimes you think that it's not, but in year 2, just like in 2017, you still win as many games as you can. I mean, I think with this group.
Yeah. And I'm not down in the team or the outlook for the season. I mean, you still got a lot in front of you. I mean, you've lost to 2 of the best teams of the nation. You looked ugly doing it. That was the one concern because of carrying over some of that holdover stuff from last year. But it's not over, and you got the ability to build some confidence over the next couple of weeks for the team. That's the important part. That should be the focus of the next 2 weeks.
Cool. All right, who's the next one up, Phil?
Let's see. Through Ken. Gamecock.
Lax?
Oh, lacrosse, I'm assuming. LAX. Who knows? Either that or he's
all right, we works for the airport.
Yeah, either that or he's at the airport.
He's one of those sunshiny people that works at LAX.
What do you make of the comment from Satterfield regarding the Van podcast third down discussion? We have a series of plays in a certain formation that's just kind of a base play for us. They gave us the exact look we wanted, and we won, and that we needed in order for that play to be successful, and I called it. And, we hadn't repped it in about 3 weeks, and I shouldn't have done it. I can't promise I won't do it again. I'll try not to, but we have base plays that I have to be able to carry over from week to week. John.
Well, all right. So there's one thing. I think this is a little bit of a, I think coaches have. I mean, it wasn't unusual for Steve Spurrier to dial up a play they hadn't practiced that was in the play. Now, is the issue the playbook itself because it's a little bit heavy and, kind of what they like to do is pull things out every week and practice them and rep them. And, if there's so much that, you can't recall, I think that's maybe on Satterfield, but I don't think that dialing something up that is a base play that you maybe hadn't repped during the week. I mean, that's you have to be able to do that, especially if it's a base play. I think so. And I don't even remember what play it was. So, who knows? I know Josh has apologized for this, and things should be over, right now, because that's kind of tough because, you interpret it. Fans are mad at Satterfield, and anything that happens that seems negative, about him, they're going to just, that's going to be more wood on the bonfire, so to speak. I don't think that's always fair. I think that there's some things that, happen that, aren't necessarily on him. He's not Al Pacino from The Devil's what is the devil's advocate?
Devil's advocate.
Satan, I'm Satan. Hey, Keanu Reeves. Hi. I'm Al Pacino. Anyway, the devil, Keanu Reeves. Anyway, but yeah, I don't think I would never cast Al Pacino to play Marcus Satterfield.
No,
I'm not gonna get into who I'd cast. Not gonna get into it. Tristan says, "What can you tell you about these guys?" Elijah Griffin from Savannah Prep, David Sanders. Those are underclassmen. Sanders is
only 25 kids.
Yeah, those are young guys right now. The reason that that algorithm they have it on 3 is just like projecting based on mentions. So really good players though. Sanders, you're looking at all these tackles going down coming down the pipe with Pringle and Thompson in the next class. Sanders is in that next class, and then there's a kid from Gaffney in that next class that I think will be on the radar big time too. I think Griffin's a big time young defensive lineman. Savannah Christian with the Dogs are going to be involved. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Thanks, Tristan. And finally, Eric. Oh, it's more of a statement than a question.
Yep.
He said, I like you think the scheme is solid, but the right calls aren't made at the right time. For example, in the NFL, everyone's so closely talented. I think most teams try to exploit another team's weakness opposed to doing what they do best, like last year when Dallas played Tampa Bay. They didn't think they could run on them, so they didn't even try. They just kept throwing on them. I think that's what Sat is trying to do. But I think in college, you're better off doing what you do best opposed to trying to do something different every week to exploit a weakness. I don't know about exploiting weaknesses, especially with individual matchups. I think maybe conceptually they do it.
Yeah.
Or in other words, this is what they're not good at, or they don't always stop. So this is a series of, I don't know. I'd have to get into it, but it seems like on the 3rd and 6th Joyner play, it seemed like in his mind he's thinking they will not expect to run because it's a passing situation. Yeah, but that play though, it's not. If he'd have run a draw play there, Eric, I think you'd have been some grumbling. And then I'm gonna move off this because we gotta get some more stuff.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the question. If he'd have run a draw play or even like another power run to Marshawn, because Marshawn did get 4 and looked like he had a hole, I'm not really upset about it. I'm still kind of wondering why you go pass, run, that kind of thing. But that the Kerryon Joyner play, and I sat there and thought about it because he mentioned it during the week. Doing what you do in the bowl game, and somebody texted me, they're like, "Oh my God, you don't think he's going to break out that horrific one play Wildcat thing that never worked all year last year, including 1st and goal from the 2 against Tennessee before the infamous Jordan Birch pass?" And I said, "Nah." I said he's probably. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me maybe if things aren't going well for Joyner to get a series, like in the bowl game, because then DeCarrion can play that game. Because he gets out there, he gets a feel of the game. He doesn't just have one play to go in there and be a hero, and in a clutch situation, and he's a quarter. I've said this for a long time. DeCarrion Joyner's a quarterback. That's what he's best at. And so he goes out there and he's the quarterback for a little while. Yeah, he's going to make some things happen. But I think the thing with him is it's a Joyner package, not a Joyner play. But it's been a Joyner play for 2 years now, except for one game, and things worked out pretty well in that one game. So he said that particular situation should be a pass, preferably on 6 yards. Yeah, and what I didn't like about it, too, is Spencer started with a nice throw to Stogner to start things off, got a first down. Okay, so you're not doing him any favors, pulling him off the field on 3rd and 6 after one pass. You're not doing Spencer Rattler any favors. How's he supposed to kind of, build on that first early success,
Right. Yeah. So early in the game, too. You can't get in the rhythm.
So early in the game. And, I'd have been fine if they'd have left Spencer in there and let him run,
I've been happier about that. Yeah.
The Joyner thing, you put 5 in and it just allows them to key. I mean, dude, they were going to play quite a bit, especially at the beginning of last year. Georgia has their game tapes from last year. They've seen it. And college coaches sit around all summer and game plan for the competition. They watch everybody's film. You don't think they're sitting there making notes? When 5 comes in, he keeps. I thought it was a miracle. DK got 3, and to credit the blockers and DK on that play. Now, he may have made the wrong read, as somebody pointed out in the chat box, but he ran that play exactly like he's run that play every single time he's been in. So there's a tendency there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. But anyway, thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. And that's Phil. We're done with the mailbag. We got
through it.
We made it through. And we're going to spread those out a little more. We're going to maybe we'll do the mailbag at like a specific time.
Yeah. We should clear out the post-game stuff Monday. Do a better job of that. That way we don't get behind.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point. What do you think about Todd Ellis saying last night that there isn't any noise out here about the offense? I would have to know exactly what he said. I didn't listen. He said,
"Isn't any noise out here?"
I don't know
what that means. Yeah, I don't know. Without context, I can't answer that.
Home team? Is they still do that at home team barbecue? Is he talking about at home team barbecue?
No, they were doing. Yeah, I don't know where they do it. Oh, Backstreet's Grill.
I'm sorry. I thought it was home team barbecue. I'm sorry. Sorry, Backstreets. Sorry, guys. I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about at the actual location of the show, because there were some calls last night that, I don't know, upset people, I guess. But
I did not. I should have listened last night. I did not. I completely forgot about it.
I can't get it, but I read Whittle's recap, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Colin says we did the exact same thing as UGA. And back to the Nana's Porch chat box. By the way, shout out to Nana's Porch, my boy Chris that runs Nana's Porch. So he's in Virginia. So last night I got a picture from him, and it's my buddy Brent Childress, who owns or runs VTScoop.com, a Virginia Tech site. I helped them start back in 2015 and got it up and rolling. And he's like, and Chris like, this guy? I was like, it's Brent, man. It's my boy. What's up? Are you at the game? So Nana's Porch. Okay, so here's what he said. This is like taking the goodness of great food wherever it needs to go by any means necessary. Blacksburg. They had to leave Blacksburg, drive to Charleston today for an event, and then turns around and goes to Columbia tomorrow for a Billy G's barbecue event at the Carolina game. Man, oh man,
golly,
that's championship level from Nana's Porch.
Yeah, that's burning the road up.
That's championship level. That's giving the gift of barbecue to all. I'm spreading the love.
That's right. That's right.
For all people. Colin says your star quarterback completes a nice pass. You want to get him in rhythm. Why take him out? It's been said 1,000 times. It's infuriating. I know. I'm just going to try to forget that nightmare. But you know what? I thought that those days of that were over. I honestly did. I was like, they're certainly not going to do this to carry on this year and throw him out there for one play. I told you, Phil. I've been wrong all year.
Totally. Right. Yeah, I know. This is just one of those years where it's just like nothing that we have said is going to be what happens. I don't know. What the hell do we know?
Colin has another interesting thing that I think Michael Bratton would agree with. Check this out. His upset alert.
Oh, I saw that earlier.
Missouri over Auburn. And dude, if that happens, I'm gonna give Michael Bratton so many props, because he called that like in July or August when we first had him on. When we first started.
Yep.
So, Colin, you'd be in good company. It wouldn't surprise me. Missouri's not looked very good either. I mean, they look pretty good in the opener against La Tech. I like Luther Burden. When Brady Cook's playing well, they tend to go up enough. I mean, they played Abilene Christian and beat them sloppily the other day. But have they looked as bad as Auburn that almost lost to San Jose State?
Yeah, I know.
Don't bring that. Auburn has a habit of bringing those Mountain West teams east to play them. They have a bad. They'll play. They'll pop in like a Fresno or somebody like that every now and then. But San Jose State, man, oh man. I mean, at least they did. Arkansas lost during the Chad Morris era to San Jose State at home.
Yeah.
And they got blown out by North Texas and Western Kentucky. That was tough. That was Chad Morris, not very successful.
Yeah, that's right. Not
really. Brian said, just saw the game is sold out. That's holy crap amazing. I think so too, Brian. And that's really cool. And I think a credit to the Gamecock Nation.
Yeah, it speaks volumes to the fan base
too. I mean, but I really, because you look at the stands the last couple of years, you're probably a little worried, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another sellout though, so congratulations. Chase says, does Todd Ellis have any eligibility left? I'll just say that Spencer Rattler's already thrown 5 interceptions, so probably not room for Todd there.
Got that covered.
Joseph says, if you found a magical lamp where a genie gives you 3 Gamecock wins, what would they be? Kentucky, Tennessee, and Clemson. I probably, with what's left.
Yeah,
but does that mean they lose to Missouri for Vandy?
Maybe it just means you get no influence over those games, and the team just has to go out there and do it. Not a guaranteed loss.
To what? To what do we owe these wishes? That would be my thing. It may be like the devil's advocate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Your rubber lamp, Al Pacino comes out. I heard I was going to play Marcus Satterfield in a movie. Great.
Proposition,
That's what we'd have to do is like get him to play Marcus Satterfield in a movie. So we're trying to pitch the Marcus Satterfield movie because he, to Hollywood, and you're explaining, no. It's like, this is the guy that I'm all right. I'm not going there. I'm going to stop because I have a whole little narrative in my head about the 1 year in the NFL thing and all that. I'm not going there.
Right.
Gamecock fans says we really got to get a running game going. Absolutely, but I think more importantly is balance. I mean, you go out there and push Charlotte around and run for 300 yards, and the passing game, you don't do anything. You kind of gear it down. Honest to God, guys, I think in some games when you're, in the interest of sportsmanship and things like that, you do gear it down or to maybe save some things for later. I don't think Carolina can afford to do that. They need to go out there, run their offense, achieve balance, just like if they were playing an SEC team, and play their best game. If you gear it down, that's really not your best game.
Yeah, but even though their secondary is a bit suspect, I mean, that's not an excuse to come out imbalanced and just throw it all over the yard and not try to establish a run.
Yeah. Craig says Auburn either wins big with the back against the wall or lose, and it's exit stage right for Harsin. Yeah, I talked to one of my Auburn friends the other day. I mean, it's weird. You don't hear much about Auburn. You really don't even hear much about them now.
Nope.
That's weird because I didn't hear about them all off season because they recruit differently, so they don't really have any recruiting fireworks. And all I've seen it was just like 7th in the West. So Bradley Cooper would be a good Satterfield, Xavier says. All right. Lady Bree MMA says, are y'all starting an hour earlier now, or have you always started at 11? We start at 11. Yeah, we've always started there.
Yep, 11.
So there we go. And Gamecock 864, one more before we get to Michael Flint.
Actually, Michael is I've just been texting with him. He's going to come on at 12:30. He's got a sound issue, so we're going to move him back just a little bit. So
okay, he's got his an internet issue.
No.
Site. Okay, good. Okay, I was going to say
conflict.
I wonder if his webcam will fall down this week. I like that. I think it's part of the charm of Wando's world. I think it's great
too, man. Anything that's not. I mean, because we're obviously not the most polished of crews, so
Yeah,
just come on in and jump in and swim.
It's like Wayne's World.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just filming this in my spare room, and
I'm about 35 minutes from Aurora, Illinois. That's where the medieval times is. Oh yeah, my mom and her niece, my mom and her granddaughter, and they came up to visit this summer, and my fiance, and we all went to medieval times. That was something
nice.
Yeah, I thought the lady. Yeah, I don't know. I was a little critical of the performance, and they named my niece the Grand Duchess of the Ball or whatever the hell that was, and I started saying, why are they whipping the horses? And my mom, who actually showed horses and knows a lot about horses, I don't know much about horses. She's like, you're an idiot, because that's how they get them to go. Where are they hurting the horses? Yeah, embarrassing night. Well, that's one night I wish I'd have gotten one of those big old medieval times drinks. Just
lean into it.
Had a best time, a great old time. So, anyway, yeah, it is kind of like Wayne's World. But hey, Gamecock 864 has a good question from the chat box, Nana Sports chat box. Coming back, keep those predictions rolling in. We got more on Twitter. Again, just give us your prediction and where you're doing it from. In other words, Wayne from Aurora says, Gamecocks will win 24-6. Garth, I like that, Wayne. I like that. Anyway, we got to get a break. We'll be right back. Michael Flint. Not Michael Flynn, Michael Flint.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Flint. I've said Flint, I think.
Yeah.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour to break down the X's and O's. More chat box interaction right here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, after these messages. If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Hey man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. nanasporch.com. Go there, food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
Well, speaking of unpolished, there we go. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Oh, hey, Phil.
Hour two.
I was worried I wasn't going to make it back to my seat in time.
I know. I forgot that the new Nana's Porch promo was a little shorter.
A little shorter. That's a Noah Hall. Somebody mentioned the Jaheim Bell video earlier today. Yeah, all these guys, most of these promos are courtesy of Carolina Rise and our partner businesses and stuff like that. So those are, if you're a member of Carolina Rise, those are your NIL dollars going to work. They do promos for the businesses. And we have a couple of guys that we just get them to go, hey, you're welcome back to the show just for your entertainment. We have, a couple other guys that are set up and ready to go. I think we had a Braylon Wimmer one we rolled yesterday, Phil.
We did. Yep.
So that's good there. Okay, back to Gamecock 864. And he says, amazing what it was this one. Where was it? He said, it's amazing. It's a sellout. And they did just announce sold out.
Mm-hmm.
3 home games, 3 sellouts. Congratulations to the Gamecocks and the fans. He says, JC against North Carolina last year, we did a bunch of pulling, or did we just line up and run it at them? They pulling, when you run like a certain run plays, power plays, stuff like that, my understanding is that they're that's common to have pulling, go trap plays and things like that. But the counter play was pretty good to them last year. That kind of requires lining on one way or the other and all that. But, man, North Carolina in that game, Phil, just was not stopping Carolina's run game.
No,
at some point, like in the third quarter, things just completely broke down on North Carolina's defense, and then that was that. They wasn't a very good defense to begin with. But, I mean, look, would Carolina have been able to do that had they not been successful passing the ball early? I don't know. But like I said, with the bowl game, with the Florida game, the games last year, that South Carolina was successful on offense. And I don't know that I call Vandy, Troy, ECU successful games. Kentucky on offense, they were able to line up and run it all over them. So the other team literally could not stop their run game. That makes it really easy.
Yeah, right.
You can do that. Auburn stinks, Jared said. Remember Paul Feinbaum asked the Gamecock Nation why we didn't hire Brian Harsin. Did Feinbaum ask that? I thought it was Dennis Dodd said Beamer's not going to be able to recruit like Dennis Dodd did say Beamer is not going to be able to recruit like Brian Harsin.
Which was absolutely crazy because he has an SEC recruiting track record anyway.
Yeah. I'll just leave
Lazy takes.
Comment. All right. So from the iHelp Consulting mailbag, we got more predictions rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
David D. Sandman. David from Seneca says Carolina 48, Charlotte 10, getting primed for an upset in Lexington. Dylan from Spartanburg, Sparkle City. You know how I feel about that place.
Oh, yeah.
47-17. Billy the Evil Rooster says Carolina 17, Charlotte 3 from Columbia, South Carolina. Ooh. I noticed that the Columbia crew is a little bit more skewed toward the negative than the rest of the folks. They're a little bit more. Oh, here's somebody from And I Am Bro from Darlington. He goes, Carolina 27, Charlotte 17. That would make some people upset.
It's interesting. It is kind of like an upstate, Midlands, low country split there. I mean, I guess because we don't have radio up here that really talks about us all that much, and definitely not complimentarily.
Hey, I'll say one thing I've noticed. If you have a Gamecock fan from Anderson, Pickens, or Oconee County, they're diehard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are diehard, and it's like, they get up every week, and they're among the most go get them positive freaking fans out there, and I understand why. Certainly.
Yeah, you got to be.
Certainly now. Clint says we're going to run a bunch formation. Who ya? Jared says, hey, say hi to Wayne and Garth and Aurora. Well, party on, Jared. Joseph.
Another up country.
Yeah, there's a history of this score, 63-17, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's one that will live in infamy. But hey, Joseph, if they do it, great. I think that would be something everybody would be okay. All right, there we go. 864, he says the total has gone under in 8 of South Carolina's last 9 home games. And it's probably true thinking back of it. Pulled that off Odd Shark. Kia Carrera in Wayne's World still gives me fevered dreams. Ballroom Blitz, baby. John says Gamecocks 44-17 for Bellingham, Washington. Todd's call of the game will undoubtedly contain the following. The Charlotte kicker lines up for the field goal. Noonan! Caddyshack Fridays. Hashtag Caddyshack Fridays. Gamecock 864 31-17 Anderson, South Carolina. So yeah, so there we go. We found a cautiously optimistic one from the triad, the golden triangle up there. Spencer 48-17 Shane Cox from DC from our nation.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. Saunders says, I won't give a prediction, but I want to see 4 first half touchdowns minimum. Otherwise, it's Tito's time.
I agree, Saunders. One of my big keys to this game is you need to flip the first quarter script, which means you need to be the team who scores 3 touchdowns and not the other one.
Yeah. With that script, baby. With that script. What's in the box? I still think that'd be a funny Todd call from 7.
Oh yeah.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Stacy says 42-24 Gamecocks. Dylan coming from Monk's Corner, 41-14. Clint says that was my Al Pacino as Marcus Satterfield reference. Son of a Woman was very underrated. That's true.
Oh yeah,
it was a good movie. Good movie. Stacy's from Anderson, by the way. I would like to see some more hustle from the defense and lock up when they tackle. Yeah, they need to look in the mirror and play a tough game. I mean, there's no reason why through 3 games a true freshman, as good as he is and as elite as he's going to be, is your best player on defense. Not with all the returning guys and the talent and whatever. I mean, there's no reason why Nick Emenwari is, and it's not close. He's by far the best player on your defense through 3 games. So that's the deal there. Jared says, as Keith says, there are fans behind the orange curtain. They have to be positive. It's all they have.
That's right.
The orange curtain.
The orange curtain.
J-Rock rolls in with a 56-21 prediction. Carolina. That's the score that Maryland beat Charlotte by. So,
yep.
And he's from Latta, South Carolina, home of Donnell Stanley, Raymond Felton, up there in the PD, near Dillon, near the border, south of the border. Colin says 36-14 from the ATL. JC, what was the worst performance-based meltdown on the board you have ever seen? 56-21 Cox sounds good. Chamblee, Georgia, that's in DeKalb County. Part of DeKalb I used to live in, lived in Brookhaven. Via Clinton, South Carolina, home of the Red Devils. Thanks, Nathan. And that's Nathan on that. Worst meltdown ever was probably, wow. There were some bad ones. I never looked at the one after Kentucky in 2017 because I just sat on the porch all day the next day and had me and my buddy who's a Tennessee fan, and they lost on a last-second pass from Felipe freaking Franks. Had them beat in the swamp, the Gators, and lost on a literally last-second touchdown pass. So then Kentucky and Carolina comes on. He's like, well, Carolina's going to save the night. And that didn't happen. And I just sat. I literally couldn't handle it. I mean, that's the worst I've ever felt after a loss, just because I knew the meltdown that was taking place. The meltdown after Texas A&M in 2014 was epic. And it was one of those things where, all summer they had a Steve Spurrier movie with Kenny Chesney. Carolina was ranked 9th, I think, in the country. Everybody picked them to win the East. They were an 11.5-point favorite over A&M. It was the first game on the SEC network ever. Brent Musburger was calling it. And 52-28 Aggies later. And it's like, oh, my goodness. And that was a huge meltdown on the site. But, yeah, Clemson in 07 was tough. Because we had just started out, and Clemson won by a field goal, knocked Carolina out of a bowl game, I think, and so that was tough back then. But all that good stuff. Craig says I've seen at least 3 times where DB wasn't running full speed, tracking down a play. That has to change. Somebody needs to see that on film and say, hey, look, you got to run.
Yeah.
Clint goes, I'll go 38-14 Carolina. Gamecock 864 says it's hard living in the upstate Anderson area as a Gamecock fan. I used to work. My first job when I was in college in quote unquote sports journalism was at the Anderson Independent Mail, and I covered high school football for them when I was still in college at upstate, way back early to I think 01-ish.
Fresh out of school.
And they told me like interesting stats about Anderson County. There are more South Carolina graduates that live in Anderson County than Clemson graduates, but way more Clemson fans. Obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Clay goes, and then Lorenzo Ward happened. Yeah, and the crazy thing about it, Clint, is like Whammy had been the D coordinator for the last 2 years. I mean, it wasn't like he, some new guy, I think when Lawing left and all those players left, though, they did not do a good job replacing those on defense. No. Worst board meltdown ever co-winners. Arkansas game where they ran for 2,000 yards. Yeah, I think which one though?
Right, yeah, that's
which one of those? 07, that was tough. And then the 63-17 Clemson loss. Thank God I didn't have the big spur then. That was 03.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at a newspaper in Gainesville, Georgia at the time. Their 2013 defense was not nearly as good, though, just very talented. Yeah, they had players that kind of knew what to do. That I said it after the Georgia game that year, Clint, on the big spur, that I was like, and I was talking about 2014. I was like, 2014 could be one of the worst defenses ever if they don't get this fixed. Unfortunately, I was prophetic. That one. That's back when I knew what I was talking about. Okay, don't listen to me now. Don't listen to me now. All that good stuff. So appreciate everybody chiming in with the predictions. Phil, I'm going to go 38-10 Carolina.
Really? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I said I was going to go 45-17.
That's not bad. I mean that's actually good. I can see that. I almost went there. I just, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised if they break the 40-point mark. Because they should. They're a good enough team to do it.
That's the frustrating thing about it. But I think in spite of themselves, they're gonna have a blockbuster performance this week.
Good. That's awesome.
I mean, they have to.
As long as it's not a blockbuster video performance where everything's great and then the bottom falls out.
Yeah, no.
Gamecock 864 mentions that 2014 offense was great if they only had a defense to go with it. Yeah, I thought. There were times in 2014 because they were like handing all, play calling being handed off to this person or that person or whatever at different times during that year. So I think certain games maybe that it would have been better had Steve Spurrier dialed it up, like the Clemson game that year, I think. But Clemson had the number one defense that season. But Carolina didn't do themselves any favors. But yeah, I thought that offense, was really in sync. You had good running backs and Davis and Wild. You had a really good offensive line that year that knew kind of how to block it. Dillon was really good, obviously setting records, and you had a bunch of good receivers. I mean, that was a good year. And then the 2014 defense actually played well in some games. I think that's a miracle, actually. Looking back on it, how did they hold Florida to Florida didn't have a good offense, obviously, but to win that game in the swamp, that kind of thing. So Jay Wright says, I think 2012 was the best team in history, a game or two away from doing some really special things. They certainly were the most dominant, Jay Wright. I think the schedule got them that year. And it's one of those things that will live in Carolina infamy, because the original schedule for 2012 was not supposed to be that way. The Gamecocks were, I think, supposed to play Ole Miss instead of LSU from the West.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. Rotating opponent. And they still had an Arkansas program that wasn't good. I don't know what Ole Miss was doing in 2012. That was probably right before they had it was 2 years before they had the really good team under Hugh Freeze. So, you kind of like your chances. I think it was Ole Miss, and then Missouri and A&M come into the league. So you got to redo the whole schedule. And Carolina ends up having to go Georgia at home, at LSU, and at Florida 3 straight weeks. LSU's always good and physical, and they win. And then that was the best team Muschamp ever had at Florida, that ended up winning going 11-1, almost winning they lost to Georgia and didn't win the East, but going to the Sugar Bowl. And so that was like a top 5 team. That was one of those years. Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia were all double-digit win teams. So the schedule got them. And Georgia's schedule in 2012, even though the Gamecocks beat them badly, was nothing. I think they got to play a couple of bottom feeders from the West. So anyway, that's the Citadel loss forced a lot of bridges to close. Jamie Bradford chimes in. The 2015 Citadel, yeah, there were some. That was a tough one in a lot of ways, in terms of how everybody sort of perceive the job in the program out there, the coaching search. Clint says the Tennessee loss for 2013. I think that was the most costly loss in program history, because that 2013 team was better positioned. Now, they had a tough schedule too. Like, somebody scheduled UCF on the road. UCF lost once. It was to Carolina. They beat the top 5 Missouri team on the road. Really good resume. Tough loss to Georgia early. Georgia ended up not being very good. I think somebody got hurt or something. And then, Carolina goes on the road. They beat Arkansas like a drum, 52-7, right?
Yeah.
Things are rolling, right? Offense, defense, things are rolling. And they go up to Tennessee. It's Butch Jones' first year. There were times in that game where you look at Tennessee and Carolina, you're like, yeah, Tennessee can't hang with them, long touchdown passes and runs and stuff. But it tightened up, and Tennessee's big 400-pound nose guard, McCullers, who never played worth a crap, until except for that one game, just ate Carolina's lunch on the interior. They had Connor in the pocket a lot that day. And the Gamecocks lost it on a late field. I'll never forget. I was sitting there and I saw Justin Worley release the football like a millimeter before Jadeveon and Clowney probably took his head off completely. And it floats up in the air, and I'm like, surely this isn't going to come down. And Ahmad Christian's down there covering Marquez North, who's about a 6'5" freshman. And sure enough, that kid jumps up and gets it, and they kick the winning field goal. South Carolina wins that game, and everything else stays the same. The Gamecocks go to Atlanta, and remember, that was the kick 6 year, Phil.
Yeah, that's right.
Auburn. So, and Auburn was a good team, but they were kind of they were 0-8 in the league the year before, kind of a resurgent type deal. Ellis Johnson was the D coordinator for Auburn that season, and I like Spurrier's chances dialing it up against him. Since he dialed it up against practice all year for 3 years or whatever. So I think Carolina may have given Auburn a better game than Missouri. And then Michigan State, lo and behold, upset a number 1 ranked Ohio State team in the Big Ten, and it sent Auburn to the national title game.
Yeah.
So if that Tennessee game goes different, South Carolina probably has a chance to not only win the SEC that season,
but play for the BC title.
Play for all the marbles against Florida State. Earlier in the Gamecocks versus Florida State in the Rose Bowl.
Golly.
My stomach hurts every time I think of that.
I know. That was a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough year.
And they just as an Auburn team was a team of destiny. It was, because that year they did beat Alabama on the kick 6, but the week before, or the game before, They're down to Georgia. Georgia had them down, and then Auburn came back, or Auburn came back. It was kind of one of those, somebody was up big in that one, and somebody came back. Georgia, 37-31 with seconds left. Nick Marshall throws the ball up. The two Georgia dudes tip it, and it goes right back, and Lewis is sitting there and guys the ball, and it falls in his hand.
Yeah.
So that would have been a heck of a story. It's like all those, and I talk about people all the time. They're like, "Oh, South Carolina sucks," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, they haven't been consistently good. But if you kind of drill down year to year, there are instances where this program has had its chances.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think with regards to had one thing just turned differently, you got to look at 84 and 2013. In 1980, which was before last year, the last time Georgia won a national title, Herschel Walker's freshman year. Gamecocks are driving. George Rogers won the Heisman that year, and there's a fumble, and they didn't win it. They win that one late. Do they get into the mix for one of these bowl games, because things kind of fell apart after that. They get in the mix for the Sugar Bowl, or are they the ones that do it? And then the Navy loss. In 84. Yeah, a guy one of the co-owners of the bar that we go to, the tavern, played on that Navy team. Imagine that. Imagine that, of all the bars and all the, my favorite one, one of the owners played on that 84 Navy team. And so he recognizes the Gamecock logo, and it just gives me crap all the time. That was awful. So
there is no expiration date on bragging rights.
That was the story of those 2011-13 teams losing a game they shouldn't, ruining an SEC championship appearance and more. Look, I'm gonna say this: 2010 to 2014, this program easily had just a couple things gone different. Won 5 straight division titles. 2011, it was that home loss to not a very good Auburn team, 16-13 on CBS. 2012, it was those back-to-back games against LSU and Florida that kept them from going, because had they beaten Florida, they would have gone. But that was just an ugly game. So that was one of the most champion victories in the history of must champion. I think Carolina actually outgained them and lost 44-11.
Right.
I don't think either team broke 200 yards either. And then in 2013, it was that Tennessee game. And I'm going to say something else that's going to make your stomach hurt here, J-Rock. The 2014 team blew a 13-point fourth quarter lead against Missouri, a 14-point fourth quarter lead at Kentucky, and a 14-point lead with about 5 minutes to go against Tennessee. 3 losses. They win all 3 of those games, which they should have.
Yeah.
That team goes to Atlanta. Now that team probably gets its teeth kicked in by Alabama or whoever they got to play down there. Whoever they're playing, scoring $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
But that'd have been 5 straight, man, and they'd probably won one of them eventually, I think. So Craig says it amazes me JC can call the year league scores off the top of his head. I can't. I don't know why I can do that. I don't want any credit for it. I just wish I was better at picking games. The scores may be incorrect. Craig. For some reason, I've always been able to do that, especially with the Gamecocks.
Yeah, your game recall is amazing.
I kind of have a nice, now I'm not like Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier could do play-by-play.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we were down there in the 3rd and 5, and we ran steamers, and then we just scored a touchdown. Shoot. And I'm like, I can't. The play-by-play, some of those games back in the 80s kind of, I don't recall it as well. Keith Alsep could do that from those games back then. But, probably about 2000 on, I can tell you what happened in most games. Maybe I should have been a play-by-play guy. Ooh.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It would have been fun.
Greg says maybe he blacks out after losses. I wish I could, man. It just makes me sad, It gives me anxiety. It really, it used to ruin my weekend, personally. I'd have to go to a movie or get away from people or something. I was ruining my week. I was not okay until Wednesday when I was just kind of like a fan,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now it's like a massive wave of anxiety because you go peek on the message board and you're like, what are these guys saying today?
Gosh, yeah, right. Ooh, y'all come on.
So that's crazy. But TA talks about that Auburn team being a team of destiny. It was. And man, they almost won it. Jimbo needs to thank Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah.
Up over the top of everybody and caught that pass for the touchdown. So that's it. Saunders says, I try not to let it ruin my weekend, but it does. Yeah, and see, I don't have okay, so the fiance, she'll put it to bed if Notre Dame loses, right? Because she's got the Bears. I don't know if that's good or that's probably not good.
That might be.
Probably not a good thing. Oh, we've always got the Bears.
Might not be the right medicine.
You want to talk about offense? Boy, that's an offensive juggernaut, the Chicago Bears. They're hoping to just break 20 points. They're like, hey, if we get to 20, shoot, who knows? Give me a beef sandwich and an old style, and let's talk about it. But yeah, she has. I don't really. I guess I've always pulled for the Falcons, but I've lost interest through the years. I mean, I wasn't all that. I wasn't even that upset about the Super Bowl, blowing the Super Bowl. Okay. So, I'd have bought a T-shirt or something that says Super Bowl champs and brag like a front runner. But because I when I grew up, I liked the Falcons, and then the Panthers came, and I was a kid. I was like 17, 18. And I was like, I'm not into the Panthers. I was just like, I'm just not going to be a Panthers fan. And so I don't really pull for them. I mean, when they went to the Super Bowl those couple of times, I did just because my friends do. But so I have nothing to look forward to. I'm like an officer and a gentleman after the game. I have nowhere else to go. I have nowhere else to go.
Nowhere. I know.
Nathan says, have you had Mallard yet, JC? What is that?
I don't know. I read it as Malort.
Malort.
Malort. Yeah.
Explain what that is, man. I probably know, and I'm just. Chicago
liquor.
Probably the fiance. She's the liquor drinker. I'm not a. He said it's horrible. Ask your fiance. I definitely would.
Horrible. God, I can't.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong too. So anyway,
well, let's hear our break, JC, because we got Flint in there waiting.
Yeah, good. All right. Yeah, sorry I'm running my mouth.
I want to see us come out flying around, attacking the quarterback, putting pressure on the quarterback, and really, dominating. And I think this is a game that we can do that. And I think you see a lot of young guys really have some good games. And I think 49. I think 49-14. I really do. I think Charlotte could score a little bit more than what we would like because of the youth that we're going to have and the inexperience. And you look at the amount of injuries that we've had on that defense. It could be a lot of learning experiences that go on Saturday and some mistakes. But I think it's that 49-14, and we kind of get back on track per se and start to get a little bit of momentum back.
All right, Michael. Thanks a whole lot, man. Always great to catch up with you, and we'll talk to you next week. And hopefully, you have a great weekend.
Yeah, man. Enjoyed it. Go Cox.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Wando's World again. Sorry for the YouTube just crapping out on us, man. I freaking Google, man.
Who knows?
You think we've been canceled?
Canceled. What did we say?
Oh, man.
What did we say?
All right. So we're wrapping up for the week. What was your prediction, Phil? 49-17?
45. 45.
And I had 38-13, 38-10. 38-10, I think I had. Wando had 49-14. It is what it is, man. We'll be back as always on Monday to break everything down for you and review. We'll have Keith Allsep in for the Monday review. A lot of people like to hear from Keith on Monday, so that's That's the plan as of right now. We had to reschedule Evan from last week, and so Evan Woodbury from Tito's and Chicken will join us next week. We're looking forward to that. A lot of other new guests and guests you hadn't heard from in a while, and all that happiness right here on Inside the Gamecocks show. Thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube page, The Big Spur, and for watching each and every day. We'll be back next week, and always also catch this on Apple Pods, Spotify, and all that. Anywhere you get podcast, you can get this show in its entirety. For Phil Mullinax, JC Sherbert, everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Another college game day, week 4, and we'll be back to talk to you on Monday.